Hello, everyone. We are today going to cover a topic that has been prominent in my life recently. And I hope that maybe I can get some tips that can help others that I know start achieving improvements in their own life. That is lifestyle change. When I first had when the term lifestyle change first came to me, people telling me, look, uh, you're not gonna lose weight until you institute real lifestyle change. I'm gonna tell you, I laughed. You know, I scoffed at this idea, and it's because what I didn't realize is lifestyle change doesn't mean changing your entire life. It can mean small changes. And I've implemented some big ones. Uh, but it's small changes to the way you live your life can have big effects. And that's what they mean. You're not going to lose weight if you try to diet. And I knew that. I never did try to diet. Uh, and by diet, I mean like fad diet. Uh, just diet to lose weight and then go back to the way you were. You're not going to lose any weight. It requires a change in the way you approach your life. And I want to give some hints and tricks and share what's worked with me. I am a consumer of Soylent. And people will laugh about the name all they want. Soylent is named. Well, there's two stories I've heard, but what the developer currently says is that he named it after the book that the movie Soylent Green is based on. And so this is an important idea. He's based the book. He's named after Soylent in the book, which was not as in the movie people. It was just a discussion of a futuristic food product that met nutritional needs, was properly balanced, and it's what people ate. And the goal of Soylent was to replace eating. Eating is my downfall. Whenever I get to eating, I just keep eating. And other people, and for a lot of people, the act of deciding what to eat, cooking what to eat, cooking what you're eating, all that, that's a lot more than most people actually want to go through or have time for nowadays. I mean, how many times have you heard someone say, I would eat healthier if I just had the time? Healthier foods also tend to be more expensive, requiring regular trips to the store, and similar things. But despite this, you have a huge you have this huge resistance to the idea that maybe the day in, day out food, the food you're eating just because you need to eat, maybe we could do something better with it. There's been a lot of resistance, mainly from foodies, about this idea. And I'm going to tell you, it has changed my life. It is the biggest lifestyle change I've implemented. But what it has done for me is I no longer have to make that decision. I no longer have to take the time. I have got a well-balanced, FDA-recognized food. Um, that is a very important thing. The FDA has looked at its ingredient list, classified it as food, and done a proper nutritional analysis of that food. Or has stamped the proper nutritional analysis of that food. So I know what's going in there. It has been certified. I know what's going in my body. They are 100% transparent about what is going into their mix. They will tell you what's in it. They will tell you the balance of nutrients that's in it. But every time they make a change, Soylent has versions like software. And every time they update the formula, it gets a new version number. So if you were drinking Soylent 1.4 and they just released Soylent 1.5, you know if you get a box that says Soylent 1.5 on the side, you know there's now a new food that you need to, this is different. And the Soylent team will actually will announce, well, here's what we did in this version. Here are the changes we made. Like I think 1.5, they reduced the oat flour or the oats content because it was causing an unpleasant texture if chilled for too long. And that they've replaced the nutritional content in this and that way, and that's changed the nutritional balance to this and this and this, and it's very insightful. Definitely doing their best, and I've been consuming it 90% of my meals for a month now, and I was drinking it a bit more sporadically before that, and it's really nice. I also, think about where you're getting your food, what you're consuming. If you're like me and you need a food that is both convenient and that is fast and convenient, but you want something that's nutritionally healthy, balanced, Soylent's a good idea. Or maybe you're using it for the other reason I'm using it. You want something that's fast and easy, but with strong portion control. Soylent might be that for you too. It is on the expensive side, but not to compare to what I was doing, which was eating fast food 2 to 3 meals a day. I'm now down to. I was probably spending $15 to $20 a day on food. I'm now down to $9 a day on food. If you get a subscription to Soylent, it's $255. If you're eating a bag a day like I am, that's 28 days worth of food. If you were not eating if you are eating something closer to the suggested serving size, apparently most people who consume it don't consume full bags, don't consume a full 2,000 calories. In that case, your nutrition is you might get more days out of a bag, longer distance, and therefore your effective Soylent cost would be even, or your effective cost per day would be even less. Highly recommend Soylent. I'm not going to turn this whole thing into a commercial for Soylent, though, so let's move on to some other stuff. I I picked up an app to. I originally was using the Lose It app to track my calorie intake and uh, to track my calorie intake and make sure I'm not eating too much. Uh, because I eat more than the Soylent right now. I have too many calories. I have too large a calorie balance uh, for me to completely cut uh, everything but Soylent. So I have a few snacks to kind of bulk up my. Um, they're not very healthy, but they bulk up the calorie count. Um, Keep me from being 500 points under and that sort of thing. Uh, but um, I didn't like the Lose It app, and I didn't realize I didn't like it. I was liking it until the day I tried MyFitnessPal. Now, I tried MyFitnessPal because it was one of the few apps that would sync with my activity tracker. I'll get to that in a second. But it was one of the few apps that would sync to my activity tracker and take the calories burned that my activity tracker calculates and pump that into my formula for how many calories I can eat in a day. Remember, the more you exercise, the more you can eat. And since I was starting this whole process of walking around the block 100 times and spouting my mouth off, I thought, excellent. But when I turned it on, I had 250 calories less in my calorie balance than I did when I was trying Lose It. And I was like, what? Why is your calorie calculation so much lower? And then I realized why a question that I'd always been having with Lose It, which is that Lose It has a large number of steps before you start getting calorie benefit from those steps. And so I was always wondering why that was, and I just realized it's assuming a level of activity. And prior to getting this activity tracker and starting these videos on a regular basis, I wasn't meeting that activity level. In fact, if I ever take a day where I'm not exercising and spouting my mouth off, I'm not going to meet that activity level. My work is sitting at a desk, doing IT and data entry, doing IT and accounting. You can't do those things without and get very active at the same time. So I did have a problem there. The decision, and so I shifted over to MyFitnessPal. It's got all the same features. It's got most of the same features, but its calorie balance properly accounts for my calories, and it directly takes calories calculated by my activity tracker and puts them on my phone. And that brings me to the activity tracker. There are plenty of them. Fitbit makes a bunch of them. Strive, Striiv, makes the one I use. Mine's branded the Walmart Activity Tracker, but it's mechanically equivalent to the Strive Fusion. Features all the same, design is the same. When I need to buy a new charging cradle for it, I buy the one for the Strive Fusion. It's just a brand thing. The Walmart one also is uh, normally $20 cheaper, and um, but only comes with a black band. The actual Strive Fusion, it comes with 3 different colored bands. That is sold separately for the Walmart activity tracker. I think that's actually a positive benefit because I don't need anything other than black. Um, Now, when you're the activity tracker, I got actually for 3 reasons. One, I could capture all my steps. Normally in the day, my phone will end up on my desk at some point, and when I'm up and going to talk to people and up to use the copier, and there's a lot of back and forth that happens, and I'm not capturing those steps with my phone. The iPhone 6 has a pedometer in it. So the activity tracker captures all those. I no longer need to keep my phone on me to capture all my steps and track the actual movement I'm getting. This is a nice reference for anyone looking to institute lifestyle change. A small thing is the smallest amount of exertion burns calories. You go around, walk around the block once, you might not burn many calories, but you're burning calories. Don't let anyone tell you differently. It's true, you don't burn many calories doing this. So walking doesn't burn very many calories, but it helps create a calorie deficit, which is all that's needed for you to achieve, if you're going to achieve health, weight loss, or weight maintenance. You want your calorie deficit, and that is very important to achieve, and any amount of exercise helps. That's why I want to capture all of it. That's why I have my activity tracker. Additionally, on top of the activity tracker, the other reasons I have it, I take a medication. One of the problems that I have is due to my anxiety and other forces in my brain. I have a very difficult time getting to sleep, even when I am physically exhausted. So I'm now on a medication that should help that. That's really only a side effect of the medication. The real medication is affecting a lot of things for me. It just happens to be a side effect that it's going to improve my sleep. But I now want to actually track the quality of my sleep, and I actually almost wish I had this 3 months ago and was able to see the quality of my sleep before. But it tracks when you're sleeping, meaning you're not moving, restless sleep, meaning you're jostling around, and awake generally means you're up and doing something. It tracks these 3 states based on the level of movement in the watch, and allows you to get a bit of a visual representation of how good your sleep quality is. And it's proving to me one thing that I already knew. I'm getting awake a lot less. I'm experiencing less fewer periods of wakefulness. That is very common, something that is actively happening. I'm sorry about the barking. So the sleep tracker is confirming that for me. And then finally, I got this because it's water resistant. Specifically, they certify that you will be able to wash your hands, get really sweaty, and take a shower while wearing this tracker. Um, Not a feature all trackers have, and the showering one is very important to me. Um, the more things I have to do to get to the point of showering, the less likely I am to do it. Also, when I shower, there's a lot of before and after showering, there's a lot of traveling around where I likely wouldn't have my tracker on otherwise. And again, that's data I'm not capturing. I want to capture 100% of the data of my activity. That way I can get the best picture of what I'm actually doing in a day. I highly recommend something similar to anyone who's beginning the lifestyle change process of getting some exercise. And if you're going for a lot of exercise and you have a phone that supports it, I really recommend it. It gives you a really good visual of what you're doing. You might go for something that's a bit more full featured. Mine is very bare bones, and but we're at the dawn of the smartwatch era. That's another feature of this thing. It's an actual watch. Not a lot of activity trackers actually carry a watch in them. This has an actual watch and time and date feature, and that's very nice. It allows me to. I like watches, so that feature is a bonus. So eating, you definitely want to make sure you, when you start getting into eating, lifestyle change for eating, start slow. Don't jump all the way in to eating to full calorie restrictions on your eating and completely eradicating areas of your life that you enjoy. Don't jump straight to that. Instead, what you want to do is you want to just create a slow integration into your life of healthier eating habits. If it's Soylent, slowly bring Soylent into your diet. Don't try to jump whole hog 3 meals a day. It's going to cause problems. If you're starting exercise, start slow, ramp it up. I highly recommend stuff like an activity tracker. Give yourself something to do while you exercise. That's the key for me. Why am I doing these blogs? Because within 5 minutes, I'm going to get bored of walking around the block. I'm not doing anything. I'm just walking. And while walking has a reward, it's not an immediate reward. There's no immediate payoff, so I don't. It's hard for me to sell that to myself. I'm the type of person that if I am not actively doing something with my hands or my eyes or my ears or all three, I'm very. The worst thing for me is having to sit in the doctor's office. I had a migraine a while back, and so severe I was going to the doctor about it, and I had to sit in the doctor's office. Normally, I'd have an audio book, or I'd be playing Sudoku or something. But I had a migraine. I couldn't listen to an audiobook. I couldn't play Sudoku. And so I was just in hell for the 5 minutes it took for the doctor to get there. It just seemed like 30. And exercise is the same way. I start going, and then I'm just like, God, this is taking a long time. How much longer do I have to do this? I'm like a school kid. I'm like a 5-year-old in school. Um, I don't like it. So what I did is I decided I would start this blogging while walking, and I promised myself that if I still was, if I, while I was talking, I'd be moving, um, and I would only change that, and I wouldn't change that. I would not keep blogging unless I was traveling, and I've always wanted to do these things. I love explaining things and talking about things, and to have a forum where I can just talk, um, while exercising gives me that doing something, covers that doing something urge, and allows me to keep walking. And, I've walked for a long time. That brings me to a key point. If you're starting to implement exercise lifestyle change, particularly if it is walking or running, there's one thing you need to be very, very aware of, and you need to prepare yourself for, and that is the chafing. I recently, just this past weekend, walked 12 miles in 3 days. I've always been a walker, and so this didn't surprise me that I was able to walk this much. But what I was unprepared for was the fact that when I woke up Monday morning and moved farther than 5 feet, I felt a twinge in my thighs. I had chafed myself raw on Sunday, mainly because I did my exercise is broken up into 2 chunks, and so the sweat had dried on my skin, and the salt then rubbed me raw. But you can very easily, even without that problem, get a chafing problem if you're starting to exercise for the first time and your skin isn't used to the process, especially if you don't have the right clothes for it. And I highly recommend an anti-chafing gel. I started using it since Sunday, and it allowed me to actually do a blog on Monday, and then today I'm fine, and I'm expecting to not have a chafing problem. Again, it's very important. It can be very useful. I highly recommend it. But if you're going to split up your exercise into multiple chunks and you get a sweat going, I would highly recommend a thorough rub down of the areas where chafing is likely to occur. Just take a wet cloth, rub those areas down. You can generally get the salt off that way. That way you don't experience what I experienced. It was painful. Yeah. Lifestyle change is about small incremental changes that change the way you live your life. There are some other things I've done. I've gotten. There are other medical changes I've made in my life that I'm not going to discuss, but every one of them was a small change. I also recently started tracking my finances and budgeting properly, and it's a slow process of slowly cutting back my spending in certain areas where I overspend, so that several months from now I'm at a point where I'm building a sizable savings, a sizable emergency fund. It's a very important thing for you to consider. Um, but it's a small step-by-step process. Uh, Lifestyle change is intimidating because you start thinking about all the changes you need to make in your life, and uh, I find it helps to break it down into small changes. One meal every day. I'm going to drink soda. This month, I'm going to spend $20 less on entertainment. Small changes that lead to big results in your life. I highly recommend that anyone who needs to inspire lifestyle change, um, uh, find something that works for you. Find small changes, implement them. It doesn't have to be big, doesn't even have to be significant. Just make that change and see if your life improves. Until next time.